Hello and welcome back. I know you're looking at this and being like, this guy, we already painted this guy. What are we doing with him? Well, so I've had like a want to repaint my orc army for Age of Sigmar. And this guy's not Age of Sigmar. But, you know, and I want to test the paint scheme, but I'm afraid to do it on the ones that I already have. You've seen the paint scheme. It's been done a couple times on here. I'm not really a fan of it. It's pretty old. I feel like I'm a better painter now. So like, you know, I think we need to try something different. And so I wanted a model to do it on. So I love the Megaboss model for the Iron Jaws, but I've already converted one on here, that big buff one. I'm pretty sure I did it on this channel, I'm not sure. But so we're gonna do another one. We're gonna turn this guy into a Megaboss. And we've got some bits here from orc stuff, and we're gonna try to even a Megaboss X from the one that we converted, and we're gonna try to see what we can do, see what we can make out of this, if we can get ourselves a cool model, or if I just kind of waste my time. So I think without further ado, let's get started by taking him off this base, because this base is the wrong size for this model, and it'll be easier for us to kind of move around the model if we have him off of it and kind of pick out where we want to do some changes. So you always want to be careful when you're doing this kind of stuff. It has like a flex tip on it, so I'm not going to use the flex one. And just kind of slowly go in there and try to pry it out. Or if you don't care about the base, which I kind of don't, I'll just 3D print a new like correct size base. Just rip it off. Just go through and rip it off. We don't need it. It's the wrong size for a Megaboss. So watch, it's like not, no it is. I checked it against my Megaboss. It's the wrong size. You can keep these bits if you want, but they're not really useful. But as for the stuff that we're cutting off this model, there probably is useful stuff in there. So just be careful when we start making our cuts. We're kind of going to try to be aware of what we're doing and do our best. So you can always leave a little bit on here. It's fine. We're putting him up. We'll put him on a new base. We'll base it. So you won't see this stuff, but just clean it up as best as we can. And you definitely need to get this guy off, this circular bit. Oh, and there's my kitty. Okay, so there we go. Got all that off. He's not gonna stand on his own, but he'll work. So what we have planned is we definitely need to get rid of all the sci-fi stuff off him. So the squig has to go, which I'm gonna try to keep intact because I like how it looks. I can just have a little squig on my desk or something. I'm gonna change the head, I think. This mechanical arm's gotta go. Gotta get rid of this wire, and I gotta cut some of the these pistons and stuff off this claw. I think the claw can still stay. Just gotta keep the pistons off of it. And I think that's good, and we'll see what we come up with. So kind of dig into this guy. Let's take his head off, which when we glued it, we didn't like dump glue in it. So let's see what we can do. You might want to keep some of these pieces because some of these pieces can be useful, but like I don't like the grading here. I don't think that's really sci-fi enough I mean not sci-fi, fantasy enough for me. So we're just gonna keep it off. The head, not really a fan of the head either, and I have a cool plan for that. But you can try your best to keep it kind of intact. But as I say that as I rip off the top knot on it. You know, if you want to do this, it's easier to do this obviously from the beginning, so you're not kind of ripping apart a model that's already built and painted. But this will work for us. So we got his head off. His jaw is part of the head, which is fine because we can use it as a stub to stick the new head in. So we got that off. For the arm, you can see there's a piece right here that this can read as armor, which is fine, but this part, these parts in here, definitely cannot. So we're gonna go in here with our nice sharp scalpel and just kind of make a straight cut right here as best we can. And you know, just doing some light pressure and just kind of like a little rocking motion into the piece, and it'll start getting the plastic cut for us, and you're not putting so much pressure where that if you slip you're gonna hurt yourself or anything else like that. So just keep it slow and methodical to prevent hurting yourself. There we go. We got the arm off, and we have still his arm here, and then just this little elbow joint, so it's not gonna be like, we only cut like a little bit of the skin, so we're good there. Which that sword, I mean, technically, yes, the sword could have stayed, and we could have just like sculpted arms on it or something. I mean, not arms, like muscles over it, but we didn't. So let's get this off here. I think this works for a Megaboss too, because I think the Megaboss has some sort of claw, if I'm not mistaken. But let's take this and get this little piston off right here. So same thing, just light pressure and just a little bit like rocky motions, and that'll get it off. Now, if this isn't built already and you just have a model that's brand new, you don't have to do it like this. You can just kind of lay the piece down and do it like a normal person. But we do not have that luxury right now, so I'm just kind of working at it slowly to get that piece off. Like that. So that's one piston, and the other piston's in here, which is going to be a little bit harder to get at. But I think it's worth it to get it off just for, you know, solidarity in the model and doing our best to get rid of all the old stuff. So let's cut that out. You can't really see in there, it's right there. So I think it's okay if we could leave that. Actually, remember when we did that customization, we had the other skull? What if we put the other skull there from the actual Megaboss? That might be cool. We need to get rid of this lightning bolt symbol, because they're not Stormcast. So just kind of shave it off. You can just take your Sharpie and kind of scrape it against the symbol to cut it off also. And it's okay if it looks beat up because, again, it's armor. And we use contrast paints on here, so it's not, they're not thick enough to have to strip this paint off when we repaint it. Like, in my experience, I think we're good. Oh, I broke one of the little spiky bits on there, but that's fine. Okay, now I think that's it for kind of all the like sci-fi, well, this guy, oops, forgot about this guy. Gotta get a squig. All right, let's see how we can get him off and try our best. Like, there we go. Sometimes you can just have to put that on there and just squeeze and it'll pop off. And I think this is like in a little hole or something in there. Let's just get on here like at an angle and kind of, yeah, there you go. And we're able to pop that off, and it's pretty intact. It's intact still. There's no things where, so if you wanted to use it for a part later, you could. Okay, so now we get to go to the fun stuff, which, like I was saying, we have a bits box. Just kind of throw them all in the biggest box that I have from everything that I've built, and I'm done to keep them pretty organized. Usually also I would clip them all off their sprues, but we got some Savage Orc sprues in here, and we've got some Black Orc sprues, but mainly what we're after is all like the original sprues I had, which I did cut off. They're down here. So what do I have that skull? Where's that skull? Oh, you know what? I might have taken it off for a different thing and put it in a different box. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably what I did do. But there's lots of skulls in here, and there's actually actually have an idea for these bits. These Savage Orcs have a jaw piece for like their leader guy. And I don't know if I've cut them all off or not. And that would be good for the bottom of that claw. Let's see, not in here. No luck here. Oop, what's this? It's an orc head. Not here. Although like this kind of stuff could work. Like you just cut the hand off the other side of it. To give you that extra little bit. No, there's a lot of the same. Oh, here they are, right here. Boop, 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 boop. Those two pieces are perfect. So let's take them. And it's a left and a right, so that's gonna be good. Okay, that's what we wanted. Okay, for now, set this aside. Let's take all these bits and scoop them into here. These are the bits that we're not using anymore. So, okay, so for this little piece here, thinking about replacing it with these, they're pretty small. I might be able to glue them onto that. So let's cut it to about here. We'll just use our clippers. Again, this would be a lot easier if it wasn't built. Blah, 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 blah. So we're cutting these off for the claw here. The claw. Okay. And we just like match the piece up to it to see if it's covering that whole section, which it is. If we want to, you clean up those cuts a little bit. Oh, let me see the other one. There it is. Come here. See if it's covering up all that. It is. Great. So we just take this and we clean up these our little cuts here. Just kind of shave them down so they're not all jagged and gross and all that nonsense. You can take your file, just kind of flatten them out there. You definitely want to scratch it up a little bit too on the top here because this is where the paint was, and we don't want any paint for our glue to stick on this better, because otherwise it's just going to melt the paint and that's not good. knives are pretty good, but they're just so, this has like a flex head and I'm not the most happy about that because, you know, I don't want it to really move on me, especially get like a surprise, like just being really careful here. Okay, take a smaller file and just kind of rough up the paint where it was and get it out so we can put some glue in there. Let's get our glue. We're using plastic glue for now until things kind of don't work on us anymore. Put a bunch of plastic glue there. Let's clean off the end because it got some paint on it. And stick the first jaw piece right there. Right in that little spot for the jaw. Same thing on this side. Just get this, put our thing down, wipe this off because there's paint on there still. And then set that in there. Now it's got like a jaw, like an actual bone jaw. And we should probably take all these rivets off this skull, honestly, to make it look more like it's an actual skull. And it just has like pieces that are bolted onto it. So I think that's what we're gonna do right now. Just kind of get our X-Acto in there and cut off all of these little rivets that are on here to smooth this guy out and make it more believable as a actual skull. Minus this part can stay here. Like we can have it so it's nailed together. But for these little bits, we'll take those off. Just kind of make sure that this stays on there. Okay. So we took all the rivets off there, which is good. So that's our first thing. I think we're gonna have to put our head in next because I think it's gonna be the biggest part. So what I wanna use for the head is I wanna use this banner piece. I've always liked this banner piece. I've always liked the scale of it. It is really big and it kind of fits more for like a Megaboss. And it's not a helmet, right? It's not built to fit any orc model that I know of. So it's just a banner, so it just sticks a thingy in there and that's it. But I'm just cleaning up this mold line. I don't normally clean off mold lines, as you've seen on my channel, but you know, this is a big one and it's the head of the model, so I kind of want to clean it up. And then let's get this. I want to leave the stuff hanging off of it. I just want this guy to be like a big, hulking, like armored Megaboss. Not that the other boss isn't mega armored, but I want it to be more menacing. So and I want like this on it still because it's very orc iconography. But you know, we might have to do some changes, especially here on the skull. It looks like the skull isn't fitting the greatest. So we're looking for something like this, but it's got to be lower. The head's got to be lower. So what's holding us up here? Okay, so it's actually sitting on top of where the head sits. When it's right here, which isn't terrible. So let's see if we can get this kind of glued on, and it does cover up the seam, so I don't have to do like pretty much any work to cover that up. So just put this in here, put this in here. Like we've said, like this glue melts the plastic, so just need to get enough of it on to where it starts melting pretty good. So let's set this on to make sure we're setting on top of where the head sits, and then push this in. And the harder you push, sometimes while it's melting, you can get it to melt a little bit more. This is a little cheat for you there. Let me just hold it for it to set up really quick. If we want to, we can do some drops of super glue on that, which I probably will do. Part of me now is like, I should have just cut these things off, because now he's gonna sit too high on the thing, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's get our super glue here. I used it earlier to do another project. Well, not a project, just to fix some orcs that I had. I had some brutes before that I had converted to a Warcry team. Warcry, is that what it's called? No. Shadespire, whatever, Shadespire, even though that's not what it's called. Warhammer Underworlds, I think is what it's called. To a Shadespire team, and then I use them as brutes, but then their weapons look stupid, and I wanted them to be more like brutes, so I just glued their arms back, and the weapons, the stats changed a little bit, so I wanted to make sure they had the right weapons on them. Okay, so there's that. Now we gotta work on this arm. And so for this arm, I got a couple hand options. But what I'm thinking is I have this black orc hand. It pretty much goes to the elbow here. And if I put it on where the elbow was, right there, we get it close to far enough, and I'll have to sculpt probably a little bit of arm onto it. But the main thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have the arm out like this, and then we're not gonna use the sword. Like, that's dumb. He needs to have an axe. He's the Megaboss. So to work on this, we're gonna have to cut this off. There. Because I didn't have any left hands, like left arms that were big. And that's the kind of downfall here, that these arms are from the black orcs, which aren't really big size, right? Like, they're not like the brutes or anything like that. So we're kind of improvising here on size. And right here, we're just kind of flattening this out by scraping the cuts. Same thing here. Just clean that up. You can leave it straight for now. Let me see. Let me just double check my bits here. I don't think I have a left hand that is like a big left hand. And I did just take these off the brutes, but this is a left hand here. Interesting, because I did just do some work on the brutes. So if I put this here, it's gonna be way too big, so it's definitely gotta be cut down at the elbow maybe, but this might be the better choice. So let's take this, which is an old brute hand for, you might even be able to leave this on and just kind of go here, cut here. This is one of the customizations I did, made like a little club for the piece, but I think, okay, so if we cut to, where's the elbow? Right here? Looks like the elbow is like right in here-ish. Make a cut like that. make sure your parts don't go flying somewhere where your cat can eat them. Let me see now. So if we go here, like this, is that awful? Looks like that line kind of continues for his thing there. Gotta go like that kind of angle. I think it might be okay. I mean, that's like, but that's like, this is too much stuff like right here. So maybe we do have to get rid of it. Because this is just too bulky for that. And then we can put the arm more in a better pose for us. Probably like that. Okay. So now we work on his weapon. And what we have here is we have the axe from the Mega Knob. And I have a banner pole, which I was going to use for the actual part of it. It's like the thingy. So let's get our drill. Little hand drill out here. With some green stuff, we'll probably need that. What's this? Oh. It's like finding parts. Oh, here's the drill. Here's the drill. Oh, here's this. I need that. You know, when other people that have channels, they're more organized than I am. They know what they're doing. I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. Got it. Okay. So here's our drill. We want to change the bit size to this size, to that big old 3.0. This size I usually have in here because this is the size of a paper clip. And that's what I think it's 1.2 millimeters. That's what we usually use for things. Okay, so let's do this. Probably cut this out. At this point, I think we're gonna use, oh, it's windy. Let's use this, okay. So then take our drill, drill through our fucking hand. Yeah, and just give a light push right now because we're holding it like an idiot. And just drill. We're gonna drill all the way. Oh, you can't see that. We're gonna drill all the way through. Just take our time. Let me see if I can get it back here more so you can see that edge here where I'm kind of balancing it. Ooh. There's probably an easier way to do this. But, and then we undid it, and it's just pushing in here now. That's what you don't want to do. Sometimes I wonder if these things get good enough grip. And we'll drill through that hand at that angle that the hand is. We're gonna try to drill through the whole thing so we have one straight line. Oh, but we're drilling kind of stupid. So maybe, that might work though because it's the only way it's gonna look right now. So, let's just drill through. It's a rather big size of a drill that we're using because we're gonna put a big piece in here. So you don't want to tear away the fingers. it does get hollow at some points, so just push on through. And we're almost there. We're almost through here. You can see the clean out the, okay, I think we have to push a little harder to get through this last little bit here. It's definitely hard to spin because we don't have a lot of meat in there to grab onto, so also we gotta have to get this into here, which looks kind of too small, so we'll probably just do something else. Okay, so first of all, that's the top. So for the top, we're gonna take a big old chunk of this. This is gonna be our pin and also be our piece here. And it's not cutting, it's invincible. You're gonna just kind of line it up here and then try your best to do a cut that's straight. Jesus, what's in that thing? And then this should fit in here. Great. We have the first piece. And then we want this on it. But we've already established this is too thin to just squeeze onto there. So, first things we're gonna do is we're gonna clean off this the little tie that's on it that helps like secure it to the original axe. Can we scrape off? This is the one that had that bad primer on it. That was one of the main reasons why we redid the Megaboss in the first place. We sculpted over that one because it was, ooh, and I just put that on my finger and we are good. You just gotta pull it apart. It might bleed a little bit, but it's okay. Okay, so what we want to do first is take this off. I think we're done using this drill because I think if I go any, I feel like it should work. We should be able to get this whole thing through here. Because we want a straight line, right? We don't want like it to look weird in their hand. Like, what's he doing? Like, he's holding it that way, but the top of the spear goes one way, and I mean the top of the axe goes one way, and the bottom of the axe goes the other way. Kind of like how we did with our, there we go, we're through. I was gonna say with our Knight and Cantor, right? So we're through here. We're through the bottom. It's not perfect, but I think it's just sliding in one thing though. It's not really torn apart, which is not what we want. Can probably, where's that thingy here? Just take some of that away. Should be pretty thin because I can't put the thing through it now because if I go like this, it's not gonna poke through the bottom. And I don't wanna ruin it here, so let's just let's tear it away. Okay, I think we're spinning now at least, so Okay, there we go. Now we got it. Did we lose a finger? We did not lose a finger. Nice. Actually, we can kind of make it look like it's supposed to be holding it, because this was all stuff that it was holding before. So there, now we have a straight hole through the whole thing. Perfect. Perfect. So then we'll take this, we're gonna cut it here. So now no matter what, this thing should be pretty straight. So, it's not on him. What was I picking him up for? We'll be able to put this in here and do the same. Make sure like how much room we got to kind of let him have it hang. Let's go like this much. Something like that. I don't know, we'll have to fucking figure that out in a second. But in the meantime, we can melt it into there. Actually, no, we shouldn't do that yet. Okay, so take this off. We're done with this big old drill. Now we can go back to the smaller one. So this is the 0.12, I think. Yeah, 1.2 millimeter. Okay, and then we're gonna drill into the middle of the head of this drill. I mean the head of this axe. And keep it as straight as you can. Don't push too hard because you don't want to get your fingers. You want to stab through into your hand. That'd probably be pretty uncomfortable. And then just make a decent sized cavity in there. And then you get your paper clip, or I just use this brass rod, this 1.19 millimeter. So that's what I use for all my stuff. I even use it for my flying bases because it's metal and it's not gonna fall apart like so much other does. So cut off a length of that. You know, because you just have brass rod laying around your house. And then you'll be able to put some super glue on this. And then you can just poke it in there like that, and then that is pinned. So now we want to put another hole into this one. So for the opposite side. So do your best to center it by eyeball, or if you have any fancy tools or a math degree, figure out the center and just drill a hole. It's the same thing. We want to keep it. It looks pretty center. We want to do a pretty deep hole so that it has a lot more purchase on the actual model. Okay, and then you cut off the chunk of it and hold on to it because it will fly. And then you can put that back with your stuff because it's still useful for pinning. And then you put super glue on the other half. And you should be able to put that on. And are we straight? We are not. Okay, so oops, I bent it a little bit to keep it straight. And there is a gap in there, but we're gonna put some like green stuff there to help, like put like a tie on it or something, so it's like tied on like a little wrap. You can also strengthen it with super glue. And we're looking pretty straight. So now I'm gonna take this accelerant over here and just kind of drop it on, because that way we know it's straight. Is it straight? Is it straight? Okay. Okay. So we let that dry. And we'll probably cut off a bit of this, because we don't need that much in there, because this would be just way too big for an axe handle. So maybe we'll just cut it to here. You don't need a lot. Put the lid on that really quick. Put that over there. Okay. So let's get our glue here. Actually, here, let's do a better job. Let's sand this flat, so the other side will have another flat piece to kind of mate to, instead of like just letting that cut be there. Okay, so we sanded it flat. We can insert it in here and just kind of back it out a bit. And put a drop of the glue in there, because that should help it all kind of stay. And we do the same thing right here with this. We should be able to kind of force it in a bit. And then we look at it and see that it's straight, or as straight as we can make it for his hand. That's our axe for him. Let me see what other parts we have here. Okay, so let's get this on here, which we'll probably have to do some super glue setting and all that kind of jazz. Okay, so let's put some super glue on here. And then we'll put this kicker on here. Lift this up, make sure it's still straight. Okay, and then we'll touch it to the arm here, how we want it. Which I think that's not terrible. We just gotta build it up a little bit in that area. So now he's got an axe, and the joint is not terrible. We know it's there, but nobody else does. Now, does he stand straight? I mean, the axe is kind of on the floor, but I think he's scary looking. And then I got this piece to cover up where the squig was. Kind of put it like right here, because we had a lot of, like, there's like stuff sticking out here, and there's like a weird little bit. So let's kind of just put down some super glue here, and then just set this in there like that. Just doing this stuff to tack it in there. Okay, so that kind of gives us a customized big boss for our army. We got the little claw bits there, the bone bits there for his claw. On both sides we have his axe, and we'll, oh yeah, we should probably do that stuff. Got his head that's different. He does have a pretty big gap in here. But when you look at the model, you're not really seeing that gap. So I don't know if I want to fix that. And we'll do just like a little, we'll just wrap some green stuff right there or something. I have actual twine that I'll probably just wrap on there to cover that up, that little seam. But that does it for our Orky boy. Thanks for watching. Join us next time where we're gonna paint this guy and just kind of see what our new paint scheme's gonna look like and see if we like it or not. Thanks for watching. Okay, it's 2 seconds later. I don't like this head. It's too big. It doesn't fit. We're gonna go with a black orc head. I think this is the better choice. This was my original idea. I think running with this, it's not gonna, he won't have that big gap on his stomach anymore. I think this is probably the better choice. And it still's got horns on it. It's got all the horns. All the horns from everybody. He's got all the teeth. So, but in order to get this head on, we're gonna have to cut off the tongue bit there. And then we can put some super glue in here. And get the kicker ready. Actually, we can probably just put it on here. Just put it in there. And then put it right there. There we go. So it's not as insane as it was. He's got his head out like an orc still. I think this one probably fits a lot better. And then you can see all the extra stuff that we have, like the fur and stuff on there. So I think that's probably what we're gonna go with. And then let's go for, let's put all this away. We're done with the glue. We're done with glue. Now let's go to green stuff. Because I didn't want to steal, I didn't want to get you guys out of that. I also had this for this part up here, like another skull. That might be too much. Might be a little too much. Since he's got all this other stuff all over him, he's pretty insane right now with all the stuff he's got. So let's get our green stuff. It's not just made by an army painter; it's made by everybody. So just find whatever you want, whatever's cheapest, and buy that one. You don't have to buy the army painter one. Get your scalpel or whatever you're gonna cut it with wet first, because it will stick to everything. And you just cut equal parts out. That was my paint water that I dipped it in, by the way. Put that away. And just do some quick cleanup here. We don't have a lot of stuff in our way. Just take all of this, scoop it into here. Try to keep our workspace a little clean. It's not gonna be perfect, but we'll just throw that away, but it's okay. All right, so now what you want to do is you want to wet your workspace. I have this for misting in my wet palette. This is a little mister bottle, but it'll work for this. And then you also want to get your hands and your fingers and this whole thing wet so it doesn't stick, because it's, like I said, it sticks to everything. So, and this will help with like less fingerprints and all that too. Also, Vaseline works if you have Vaseline laying around. You perverts. No, I'm just kidding. I've been thinking about getting some just for this because I wanted to try out some more sculpting. But water is kind of annoying to use sometimes, and just Vaseline will stick. And I can just get like a little thing of it. So I probably might do that. I might be doing that. So you want to mix it up a little bit. Usually you'll want to let it sit They recommend like you let it sit for like 30 minutes before you start handling it, because then it's a little bit more firm, but we'll be okay. And you also have I have my little sculpting tools. You also want to get these wet. You don't want everything is wet. Everything. So I just get this and just get off a little piece here, and we're gonna roll it into like a little sausage. And we'll use this for our rope on the axe. So let's get this, and this will cut it straight on the end there, straight on the end there, so you don't have weird bits on the end here. And then start it here. Okay, it looks awful. So I need it thinner than that. You can also put just stick like a clump in there and then just kind of like push details into it, which we might end up doing depending on how this goes. So let's take this bit right here, and we want to put it, right in here. You know, let's just kind of hold this on as best we can. Just kind of get that covered in there. And just push it on. Like I said, like we're probably just gonna end up taking a goop of it and just kind of sticking it on, and then like cutting lines into it to make it look like a rope instead. So just kind of get the putty and push it and lock it to the model as best you can. And then you can wet it, and then just kind of, and then we'll just kind of push grooves into it so that it looks like it was tied with a rope or whatever. So we're just pushing it into there and getting those little sculpty lines in there. There, and then just kind of bringing them over here. Same thing, just remember it's small, so what it looks like here is not gonna be it could be fine when you're painting it, and on table distance, you're not gonna be able to see it. Definitely though, there are people that can sculpt like champs. I obviously am not one of those people. So, don't learn from me. Go learn from them. So we just got like a little rope kind of tied onto there. And then what we're gonna do is take another little chunk of this. We'll push it in here. Just kind of get this back in there behind the helmet. Just to kind of make that seal better. And then we can pull that off. continue the scrapes of the fur that's already in here, you can bring that fur back out so you're not losing it at all. And then under here is good. We can probably put a little bit under his neck here. So let's cut this off. Here. We just got this little piece right here. Push that in here under the head just to stuff, man. There we go, just get it in there. And then we'll just, again, with the fur, cut those lines in there to just give more texture like it's meant to be here. Just blending in that piece a little bit better. So now under there we have some texture and stuff too. And it just doesn't look like his head is hanging there with that little neck piece sticking out. Okay. Now, is there anything else that we want to do? Do we want to, oh, the arm. So we should probably fix the arm a little bit because he's buff, but then he's not buff. So let's just roll out like a little kind of muscle sausage right here. So we're gonna call this a muscle sausage. And we're gonna stick it right here. We're gonna try to stick it right here. Dang it, come on. Sometimes just roll it into a ball and we're gonna stick it right there. It just fell off. Sorry guys. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an expert sculptor by any means. So, here we go. Got that in there. And just try to kind of carry on the muscle onto his hand here. Make it look like that's part of his forearm and that the muscles are all, you know, the same. So let's just kind of flatten that out. We just need to smooth it into itself. And kind of blend it into that muscle there. We're just following the shapes here. You don't have to know anatomy to guess at this part. So let's just spray this a little bit more. Get some more in our tools here. We just want to smooth it out. Here. And just follow those little lines in there and do your best to smooth it out. It is a little weird position, but you can get it. And make sure you're not overwriting the model that's already there. Okay, so now you can't really tell right there. And then right in there, it just kind of goes into the wrist, so you can cut a couple more these little wristbands into it. And then we cut some of the bad bits out. So let's do that. Okay, so there's his arm, and we can cut this cut into here. All right, cool. That, if you want to, you can take this and kind of stuff in behind the skull to make it fit in there a little bit more. Let's just kind of cut like some more fur into there. Same thing down here. On this side where it's just kind of floating right here. No, come here, come here. It goes in there. And just go with the flow of the green stuff. You also don't want to touch it while it's on the model because it will pull off. So just be careful. We're good there, we're good there. Got a little spot right here that we can fill in. And just do like little, pull that shape into there. And it just looks like the hair is kind of there. All right, cool. So there. Now we'll call that done. So there's our orc Megaboss. We got our green stuff on him. It's gonna take like 24 hours to dry. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.